Hello everyone, welcome to what appears to be the first video on my channel, excluding my channel introduction video, but as you can tell by the title, Surplus Store Pickups Summer 2015, I went to a surplus not recycling center necessarily, but a surplus store for a local university. Not really local, it's MSU, it's about 40 miles away from my house, but I was able to pick up a few things, and I wanted to make a video on it. So, I guess we'll start the video here. So, I guess about a month ago was when I got all this stuff, but I haven't really had time to use it because high school just started for me. I'm a freshman, and I have no time to do anything. Including weekends, and this is the first little bit of time I've had to do stuff. But basically, that was about a month ago, and we'll start the video with this machine right here. So this is a Dell Inspiron 530 desktop computer. About, I'm gonna say, 14, 15, maybe 16 months ago at a stretch, I was able to pick up a computer similar to this. It's the Dell Vostr 200, which seems to be the more professional-oriented machine, or professional grade oriented machine, and that is painted black. This one is painted like a white and silver kind of color scheme, but basically I had to pick this machine up because it's basically the same thing, and that was a beautiful computer until I broke it by accidentally shorting one of the SATA connectors on a chipset heatsink, which caused the whole system to go up in smoke basically, which was actually kind of fun to watch, although the computer did die. Hard drive still worked, actually, which is pretty weird because it's the SATA connector going into the, or it was a bridge off the SATA connector going into the hard drive. So you get what I'm saying, I'm sure. But basically, we'll start off with this machine. So it's a Dell Inspiron 530. It's a desktop computer, as you can see. This little blue slip is what they put the information of the system on. So the CPU information, it's a dual-core Core 2 Duo running at 2.53 gigahertz. And it has 2 gigs of DDR2 RAM. There's 2 modules, each 1 gig apiece, and there are 4 slots, so we can put 4 gigs of RAM or maybe even 8, depending on the modules I can find. So below the RAM we have the hard drive information. So that is a single 250 gig Samsung SATA drive. It has a DVD RW drive for the optical drive that does not work. It does not open. I'm not sure if the optical drive, I'm not sure if it reads discs or not, but I highly doubt that it does. So that's kind of unfortunate. We'll be probably installing many operating systems through different means on this computer. So under that, it just has PCI Express video. There's not a graphics card installed in here. It just uses integrated, but I have a few graphics cards laying around that I would like to test in this machine. It has no operating system and no passwords, and the system posts, and it does work. It does boot into an OS, and I got it for $35. So that's pretty cool. We're gonna go around the machine now. So just some cooling vents on the side, the Dell logo on the front. We have 2 optical drive, or 2 5¼ bays. This one's empty. This one has the optical drive in it, and this door isn't on fully, or the side door. And under here, this is where our front I/O is. So we have 4 USB 2, headphone mic, and a 3.5" bay, power button, Dell logo, and a hard drive light. So we can see it came with Windows Vista, and it has a Core 2 Duo processor. On this side of the machine, just another vent for the front intake, which there is no fan and no way to put a fan in from what I can see. On the back we have our power supply. This is the standard IEC computer power input kind of thing. Back fan, that's 80 mil I believe. And then we have a VGA output. We have 4 more USB 2, gigabit Ethernet, and our many more audio ports. I'm not sure what all these other ones are, but I'll have to figure that out someday. We have another fan. This is a 92 mil fan. And then for the bottom PCI, or the PCI slot covers and stuff, I don't know how well you can see that. Let me move the camera down. I'm using my iPhone as the camera. But down there you can see we have a modem card and 3 empty slots. This one's a bit loose. Let me zoom back out. And that's what's going to be on the outside of the machine. So, like I said, we're going to be upgrading the graphics card, RAM, hard drive, all that stuff. And I might be able to use this as a kind of low-end gaming computer until I get an actual gaming computer set up. So let's pull off this side cover and look at the insides a bit. So under this heatsink here, it's from what I remember, that's a pretty loud fan. It's not that it's loud necessarily, it just gives off that annoying tone when it's running. And the processor, actually in my old one at least, I believe that was a 2.13 gigahertz Core 2 Duo. Used to sit on a threshold where the fan would go up and go down, go up, go down. Not that frequently, but while watching like YouTube stuff like that, which was basically what the computer was used for, it would sit on that threshold and it got pretty annoying. So hopefully this one has a bit different thermal properties, and either it will sit at a lower temperature or sit at a higher temperature. I'm fine as long as the fan doesn't go up and down on that threshold. But anyway, under the heatsink, that's the Core 2 Duo, dual core 2.53. I wish it was a 5 gigahertz Core 2 Duo, that would be nice, but it's not. So then we have our 250 gig hard drive. I'm going to be upgrading this. So a 160 gig is going to go in here as the boot drive, and then this 500 gig is going to be the secondary drive. So that's kind of an upgrade, I guess. And what I was saying with the shorting out, it's like this little splitter here got stuck on the heatsink, and that's what shorted it out. Or, yeah, I don't know. I probably just used like horrible grammar back there. Shorted it out. But anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. So it's kind of interesting that the hard drive survived because it was pretty much the same SATA connector. This is our optical drive. Back behind this mess of cables we have our dual 1 gig modules of DDR2, which we can put another 2 in there. And then we have our modem card, PCIe, I believe that's 16x, physical and electrical, and then we have our 4x slot, and then our 2 PCI slots, which I don't know if I'm going to ever use those. I'm going to be taking the modem card out. I might throw that in the server, possibly. So, I mean, I don't know what I'd use it for in the server. I mean, I might use pfSense, and it might come in handy with that because it's an internet-based, or it's running like an internet router kind of thing. I could use it as a modem as well. But other than that, there's nothing really. If we go ahead and pop this front cover off, it's just the insides of the machine. I don't know how well you can see that. It's not really important. And I think my head, I think my head just came into the shot there. But that is this machine. And the side panel, I have some trouble getting that on always. It seems to be doing, oops, it's not on fully. It seems to be having a little bit of trouble, or it was. Just hold on. If I can get this thing on the, one of the, there's a little place where you can put like a lock or a cable tie in to hold this panel on, and that's bent, and I have tons of problems with that. So let's go ahead and move this out of the way, and let's grab another thing. I'm in my bedroom right now. All the stuff is sitting on my bed, and we're gonna go back. We're gonna go onto my bed eventually, because I have like two servers back there, and they're pretty heavy. Let me move the tripod. So here we can see something very special. This is an Xserve 750 watt power supply, untested for 15 bucks. So on this label down here, I don't know how well you can see that, but it says Xserve 750 watt power supply requires Xserve, in parentheses, early 2009. I have a 2008 Xserve that is running Yosemite, or capable of running Yosemite. More videos on that because Xserve 2.1 does not work with Yosemite. I got it to work. But I'll have a video on that because it's a pretty interesting process. But this power supply, if we open it up, on the top here we have a little documentation here. I don't know what that is. And we have a retention clip for holding the cable onto the power supply so it doesn't come out. And then we have some interesting power cables. So this one is a really, really short, generic grounded plug here. It's pretty cool. This will definitely come in handy as my as the Xserve that this power supply will go with sits on the top right under my power strip for the my Furman power thing. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those, are like Furman stuff, but actually I'll go on to this one. So this is basically the same thing, except you'll notice there's no ground. That's what this is. So I could probably take this and plug it into another power supply and just connect it right up to the rack. And that would be what this is used for, presumably. And then this is the same thing as that, the one we just saw with external ground, but it's a bit longer. I believe this one is like 6 feet maybe. So we'll move that aside and then pop this open, the best part right here. Let's move the box aside. And it just fell. Alright, here. This is the sorry, someone just drove by with an extremely loud car. Window is wide open as well, but here we have, this is a AC Bell power supply. This is for the Xserve. I believe the one in my Xserve is a Delta power supply, but it might be AC Bell. Not sure on that one, but I'll look eventually. So you can see we have our generic IEC and then a 40mm fan that stays on all the time. And on the back we just have our power fingers. So presumably there's a 12 volt, 5 volt, and then there's a thick connector on here that would be 3.3 and other I/O for like warning and system or status and stuff, presumably. But this does work in my Xserve. I have the 2008 Xserve, like I said. It says it requires 2009 Xserve, but it works in my 08 Xserve, which is great. And I tested the machine running under this power supply and nothing but this power supply. I unplugged the one other power supply and it runs pretty well. Although the fan on my other one, when this was installed, the fan on the other power supply revved up to full speed, but that was once. I don't know what happened with that, but I would like to do some further testing. So basically, I will let you look at my screensaver right there while I move some blankets off my bed so you can take a look at some of my server equipment. This shouldn't be too long of a wait, but let's just move all that. I have tons of other computer hardware sitting on my bed because I'm taking inventory on my cables and stuff, but let's go around here, and my room is a mess. Pardon me for that. You can see just all my like cables and stuff laying there. Let me sit down, just go around the camera, and my tripod's broken. So you can see this is a Dell PowerEdge server. It's a pretty nice one. It is a Dell PowerEdge 1950. I put this label here because I'm going to be using it at school. It just says property of me, and then I have another one of those labels on the underside of the heatsink shroud on the inside. Just so if any people want to take it, they will get caught. Just, I don't know, just in case. But it's pretty long, as you can see. I'd say this is about 30 feet long. Actually, let's measure it with my FireWire cable that just came in the mail. This is 3 feet. So it's not 3 feet, but it's pretty close. I'd say like 24 to 26 inches. So that's actually like 2 feet. Never mind, you get what I'm saying. But sorry, getting over a bit of a cold as well, so I'll be coughing a lot. And we're getting off topic. So this server, let's take a look at the label on the top here. So we can see CPU information. It has a dual core 2.33 gigahertz Xeon processors in there. So those Xeons together will make 4 cores. And then under here we have 8 gigs of DDR2 ECC. That's 1 gig per slot across 8 slots, so we're fully populated in here. It has a dual 500 gig SATA drives in it. CDRW drive for the optical drive. That's a slimline one. No video. This uses integrated video again, and I will probably be putting a graphics card in here because I'm going to be using it as a gaming server. No OS, no notes, no password. Got it for $75. When there's no notes, the computer we just looked at, the Inspiron, it says posts. This one does post and does boot into an operating system, so I don't know why it says posts on the other computer, but I'll have to look into that. So on the front here, let's pull this off. This is just a locking bezel, and there's a little LCD panel and a system identifier light, or a system identifier button, as you can see here. So let's lower the tripod as well. Just use that little spinny, geary thing on most tripods. Need a new tripod anyway. But you can see here it says Dell. This is the power button, not plugged in right now. We would hit that button for the system identifier lights. And it has two USB 2 and a VGA on the front. I think it's pretty cool how there's a VGA on the front of the machine as well as on the back. And under it, let me see if I can get a pin to eject that. There we go. Safety pin. Let's eject that optical drive. No. Come on. Of course I have to bend this pin to inhumane levels. There we go. So we can see it's just like one of the generic slimline optical drives. And I just put that pin in the trash by accident. I'll have to fish that up later. So you can see we just have our slimline optical drive over here. We have our two 500 gigs. And these are not the original hard drives in here. I was playing around with this machine last night, or this morning, and these drives are both in RAID 0 for testing purposes. But the hard drives that came in it, let me see if I can find those, were... This drive right here is actually the same kind that came in it, but there are two of these Hitachi DeskStar. I believe these are a 15K drive. No, they're 7200 RPM. So I have some 15K SAS drives laying around, but wherever they went off to, I don't know. So we'll just pop the cover back on, or pop this these drive bays back in, and close this up. So because it's a server sitting on my bed, I am too lazy to turn it around so we can take a look at the back. So I'll just show the back from the inside, and let's move the tripod back a bit and move the tripod up some more. So basically right here, this latch, you would put a screwdriver in there and twist it, and it unlocks it. So we can pull off this cover. And pulling off the cover, we see our inside of the server. This is a beast of a machine by the looks of it. Cannot wait to use it. I'll probably use this as a gaming server or maybe even free NAS. So you can see on the inside we have our two hard drives. Once again, not the same hard drives, and those connect to a backplane right here. Backplane goes to this RAID card, and on the inside, or on this RAID card, we have a 256, what looks to be a DDR2 slot, which is pretty cool. So I'll look into upgrading that if I can. So behind all this, we have our fan array, or our fans. So let's pull one of these out. So it's just those Delta high-end loud server fans, and I believe these are the same fans that are used in the Xserve that I have. Same type of fan. I have two Xserves. I have a G5 and a 2,1, or the 2008 one. So 2008 one looks to use these as well. So under here we have our, can you see where I, no you can't. There we go. Under here we have our RAM, our heat sinks, and some other shrouds. So if we pull this off, we can see our Xeons probably the VRMs or something, and the RAM modules. So here's the shroud. Here's the label I was talking about that just says like property of Adam Westman, blah blah blah. Yeah. Pop this shroud back on. And that's about it for that. Let me move the tripod back, or zoom in on that far reaches of the server there. So we have our two redundant mini redundant power supplies. They're not the same that are used in the Xserve, but they both power the machine, so both of them work. And then we have our two, these look to be 4X or 8X PCIe things. So unfortunately I probably could not put a like something like a 980 in here because it's a single slot, and then the I'd have to like cut part of the connector off to put the 16X graphics cards in there even. So same thing over here, that's an 8X or 4X, but PCIe. And then on the back, let me actually pull my phone out of this tripod thing mount that I made. It's just basically like this. It's a foam core cutout thing. Made that a few months back. But here on the back, you can see we have a serial console and a VGA, and then the slot, and then we have a USB. That's a single USB system identifier. That's some kind of jack right there, and then there's a system identifier button, and then we have our 2 gigabit Ethernet, and then our power supplies that both have the IEC input. So that's it for that. Camera's kind of out of focus. Something's not right with this. The camera used to be a lot better on my iPhone, so I don't know what's going on with it. But that's it for this server. And I have one more server thing to show you. Let's put that on and lock it. And lift it off my bed. And I just kind of crushed my hand. So now the last piece of equipment that I was able to find with my budget was this. And it weighs like 60 pounds. No, more than that. But it is a 12 bay RAID array, or yeah, NAS kind of thing. So I got that for $80. The server was $75. I think I pointed that out, and the power supply was $15. But this has 12 SATA enclosures. It says SAS, but you can put SATA drives in there, and I plan on putting SATA drives in here eventually. So yes, I'll pull one of these out. None of them are populated. But you can see, OK, warning, and ejectable. That's what the Sun Microsystems drives look like. I have a few Sun servers. I really love Sun hardware. It's pretty nice. I haven't been able to fully test this yet. So let's go around to the back of it now and take a look. So, you'll notice one of the power supplies is missing. I'm kind of playing around with it. And a video you're going to be seeing in a while will be a Raspberry Pi laptop video. Yes, a Raspberry Pi laptop, just a hint in case you get, or just a little sneak peek if you get this far in the video. But these here are blower fans, and I'm looking into using one of them as the cooling fan in the laptop. Of course, I'm going to be putting the one from the power supply back in the power supply and buying a new one for that, but just doing some experimentation. They're 120mm as well. I think, no, they might be 92 millimeters. So we have our power switch here, and then the IC input. So let's pull this out. And basically it's a Delta power supply. And these are the fans. They're pretty loud though, and take a long time to spin up. Just, they're really heavy impellers and stuff. So on the back here we have our power distribution. And something that's interesting on the power supplies is when I have both the power supplies powering the machine, the one on this side that I'm taking apart gives me a warning, and it says I can pull it out. And then when I unplug or turn this one off, that one, no, actually, what happens is it gives me a warning, says I can eject it, says I have AC power, but it says it's not giving DC power. So then when I turn off the working power supply, it says I have AC, doesn't give me a warning, doesn't say it's ejectable, and says it's giving DC power, which is kind of weird. So I don't know if that's like typical for the machine to do that, because like it's switching over to the working power supply or something, but I'm not sure. So here we have our RAID controller. You can see a SAS drive expansion, that's for connecting more of these RAIDs to each other. We have two serial console interfaces over Ethernet and over some proprietary connection, presumably. Then we have our fiber channel host, so we have two of those. And then we have our battery warning. I think that's some kind of power warning ejectable, and then that might be like a fiber host connection on there. So I have further testing to do with this machine. In the next video, you're going to see that's me unboxing a fiber channel switch. So that'll be pretty interesting, and that'll help me use this. I do not have fiber cards or fiber optic cabling yet. I'll have to get some of that eventually, but we will be looking into that some other time. So I believe that's going to be it for this video. All I got other than these machines were some IEC cables, 5 of those, and I believe that's going to be it. So thanks for watching. Please remember to like or dislike. First video on the channel, so probably no one's going to be seeing this, but if you do see it, please remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this, or have many more videos to come. So I believe that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, which should be the network switch unboxing. So that'll be pretty fun to look at. So I will see you in the next video.